All right, good morning, traders. Today is April 2nd, 2026. My name is Coach Carignan, lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That's the day trading division of the Hit and Run Candlesticks family. Thank you so much out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for following, liking, and subscribing my content. Thank you for the kind words. Special shout out Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted, Ed Carter, Rick Sadler, everyone for sharing the BYOB experience. Appreciate that. Love that. Thank you. I am grateful. All right, let's take a look at, got a few announcements. Today at noon, all right, in the combo room, how to get to the combo room is come up here, go to your members page, right over here where you'd log into the BYOB Trading Room. Right here in the combo room, you can log into the combo room. This is the BYOB room. This would be the combo room right here if you want to log into that. The webinar is going to be recorded. You're going to find it under resources right here under e-learning replay. There's 10 videos per page. There's 35 pages. That's 350 videos. All right, so if you're looking for me this afternoon, that's where I'm going to be in the members e-learning right there, okay? Doug starts at noon. I come on at 1. Rick's going to come on at 2 o'clock. Topic's going to be setting stops and targets. All right, so let's that's where I'll be today later on. All right, one more announcement. I've got workshop Monday and Tuesday right after Easter. Tomorrow we're closed. All right, so remember Good Friday. Markets are closed, so you're off tomorrow. Monday and Tuesday, workshop 8 till noon, all right? April 6th, April 7th. How to get in there. In the video, there will be a link to there will be a link inside to register for the workshop. If you don't have the link right there, you can scan this with your smartphone right now, and it'll produce a pop-up with your smartphone camera. All right, press on the pop-up, and that will open up a web page for you to fill out to get registered, and they will email you your credentials to get into the live trading workshop on Monday and Tuesday. Okay, so that check your email. All right, if you don't see it in your email, check your spam folder. A lot of times that's where it goes. All right, let's find the summary for yesterday. All right, today my SPY pivot is 655.90 above it, bullish, below it, bearish. FNGU, SPY, QQQ made higher highs, higher lows, closing over bearish traps and over their 17 EMAs yesterday. Diamond Dow, IWM made higher highs and higher lows on their daily charts as well, closing over bullish crosses and over their falling 17 EMAs. SPY closed 2-hour uptrend, 10-minute bullish consolidation. FNGU, well, we don't need that. Gold made higher high, higher low, closing over bullish cross and over the falling 17. Silver made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17. USO, lower high, lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the rising 17. UNG made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap and under the 17. US dollar index still in a daily uptrend, closed near the 99.54 area. SPY max pain for today, 653. Put to call ratio, 1.6 puts for each call. That expires today. They may change max pain before the market opens. We'll find out. If this is your first time, these are all in daily uptrends. If you're looking for swing trades, these are all in daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. These are all in daily downtrends under the 17 EMA. If they got a little star next to it, it means they're building out a bear flag or a platform from which to dive lower. If they got a little dash, it means they've already broken out right there. Okay, so let's take a look at the markets this morning. All right, SPY, you can see we closed with, well, you can see this move up and then over to the right. I'm going to call it 10-minute bullish consolidation because not really an uptrend, not really a downtrend. You see here's a downtrend, and then we crossed up over here, and then it lasted for two candles, and then it came about rolling back down right here. So I'm just going to call it bullish consolidation because we're up and over to the right. We'll see what happens. All right, that's 10-minute chart. Let's take the 2-hour chart. You can see right here we got the sticks and the 3 riding up on top of the 8. We've got a 2-hour uptrend. We've got daylight between the 3 and the 8 right here, 3 riding over the 8. So 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. Daily candle, higher low, higher high, closing over bearish trap, closing under the falling 17 EMA. Okay, on the weekly chart, we are with the quad lines on there. Okay, you've got, here's the April low. Price goes up, over, kind of roll back. Got a low here, got a low here. This one's a lower low, so we're still bullish because we're still in the upper third up here. Okay, but we're in a downtrend currently because we made lower lows. Back to the daily chart. All right, and you can see we are still up in quadrant 4, so we're still bullish. But we have not made any higher highs yet since making the lower lows. So we're still stuck in that downtrend for SPY. On the monthly chart, everything's still looking fantastic on the monthly chart. No lower lows, still in an uptrend, still bullish up here, up in quadrant 4. That's the monthly chart. All right, let's take a look at QQQ. Start off on the 10-minute. 10-minute, again, bullish consolidation. Price moves up over to the right on the 10-minute chart. I'm going to call it bullish consolidation. You can see we had a 10-minute downtrend, but then we crossed up over, and then we came back to test the lower side of that 8 EMA, so I'm going to call it 10-minute bullish consolidation. On the 2-hour chart, you'll see right here, sticks in the 3 riding up on top of the rising 8. Got daylight between the 3 and the 8 there, so I'm going to call it a 2-hour uptrend coming into the close yesterday. Daily candle, same as SPY. It's a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bearish trap, but under the falling 17 EMA. And of course, underneath that all-time high anchored VWAP, underneath this all uptrend right over here, up in the middle of the bottom of quadrant 4. Okay, so that's still bullish up there. We haven't made any higher highs since making lower lows, so we're still stuck in a downtrend on QQQ. This would be the origin of our rally back here in April. Price goes up over to the right. You can see we're still stuck in quadrant 4 up here. All right, we've been here since September. Okay, so we're still bullish up here. Just still stuck in that downtrend ever since making that lower low. So there's QQQ on the daily chart. Weekly chart, you can see just like SPY. Here's the origin of the move, April right here, up over to the right, and we made a lower low. So you got that low here, we got lower lows, so we're still stuck in a downtrend. We're bullish, but we're still stuck in a downtrend because we haven't made any higher highs. All right, so there's QQQ. Monthly chart, still looking great, just like SPY. Again, price, here's the April origin, up and over to the right. We haven't made any lower lows on the monthly chart, so we're still in an uptrend, and we're up here in quadrant 4, so we're still bullish. So QQQ, SPY, bullish and in an uptrend on monthly charts. Weekly and daily, we are still in downtrends, but we're still up in quadrant 4, so we're still bullish on QQQ and SPY weekly and daily charts right there. 2-hour charts both have uptrends. All right, let's take a look at Diamond Dow. We'll go back and look at the game plans after. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow on the daily chart. Okay, you can see a higher low and a higher high closing over a bullish cross and closing over a falling 17 EMA, closing under an all-time high anchored VWAP, not in quadrant 4, but in the upper third, so that's still bullish. Okay, back here is the origin of our rally, back here in April, up, and we're still in that pullback. All right, so we made lower lows, so we're still in a downtrend here, okay, because we haven't made any higher highs since beginning our downtrend. So we're bullish, but still in that downtrend on the daily chart, okay? Now remember, just a few days ago, we were closing candles down here out of the upper third. So at that point, we were just neutral and in a downtrend. Now we've regained bullishness by coming back up here to the upper third. We'll see where they want to close them today. See if they can climb back up in here in this upper third. We'll see. It's either that or they're going to drift lower into this middle of quadrant 3 down here. So that's diamond down. Let's take a look at IWM. All right, IWM, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish cross, closing over the falling 17, closing under the all-time high anchored VWAP, closing up in quadrant 4. That's bullish up there, quadrant 4. Still in that downtrend. We have not made higher highs. So IWM on the daily chart, same as Diamond Dow. It is bullish, but still in a downtrend on IWM, SPY, Diamond Dow, QQQ. Let's take a look at FNGU. Okay, FNGU is a much different chart than the rest of them. Okay, for FNGU, I'm going to push this up just a little bit. Okay, this is the all-time low. That's the all-time high. You can see this is the all-time high anchored VWAP. You can see FNGU is in the lower third, so we're bearish all the way down here in the lower third down here. That's bearish. And we're under this falling 17, and we're making lower highs and lower lows. Yesterday's candle, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, over a bearish trap, but underneath that falling 17 EMA, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP, underneath the midpoint of the quad lines, that'd be the 50-yard line, all right, or midfield, mid-court, okay, so underneath that mid-court, so obviously in bearish territory down here. All right, and up here would be bullish territory, so in bearish territory. So currently bearish because we're in the lower third and in a downtrend yet to make any higher highs on the daily chart for FNGU, all right, aka stinker. All right, let's take a look at game plans. We'll go to the 15-minute chart and we'll start off with SPY. And 15, let's zoom this out a little bit. All right, I got green erases red up here over 658.60, pivot 655.90. That's kind of the midpoint where price kept meandering up to and around 655.90. Got red erases green over 653, under 653. You can see right here we had a bullish gap up yesterday. All right, not filled by the bears, kind of showing us nice bullish control. Not sure what happened last night. I can see price over here. Okay, so not sure what happened last night. I guess POTUS had a speech to make, and I'm going to take it the market didn't like it. So we'll see what happens today. But right now, I'll take a peek at that and see what I can extrapolate. Up here on gamma exposure, got a big node right here. Don't know if that node is still there, and I won't know till like 9:32, well after the market opens. But for me, I would think price is going to come back up there to that big node of gamma right there, 650, rather than head to the put wall down here at 640. So I would think that would be the case. We'll see what happens. And then from there, I don't know whether they're going to chase down this big positive GEX up here. All right, there's still that possibility. We had 660 positive GEX right up there, the highest positive GEX. So I don't know whether they're going to go chase that down or not. We'll find out. All right, so let's take a look at the pre-market. But that's where I think more price should probably wind up heading toward this morning. We'll see. All right, we haven't looked at Max Payne yet, but I'm going to move that out of the way. And I'm going to put the pre-market on here. Yep, now the pre-market's on here. And I'm going to pick up a different chart. Okay, currently we got a 10-minute downtrend. All right, and you know me, I'm all about the trend. So if this 10-minute downtrend is still running when the market opens, I'm just going to jump in on it. Until it shows me where it wants to stop, I'm just going to jump in on the 10-minute downtrend. If things have reversed, like I said, 650 is my target. I'm going to look for a 10-minute uptrend to trade back to 650. So we'll find out. Thursday, that's today, is options expiration for the week because tomorrow we're closed. All right, so my plan is to trade this continuation of the 10-minute downtrend if it still exists. If it does not, I'm just going to wait for a 10-minute uptrend to take me back to 650. Okay, that's my plan this morning. All right, it probably goes for the same thing for QQQ. QQQ, I'm going to give it the same plan. All right, back to this area up here, 577. All right, we'll see what happens, or max pain up there. All right, so there's QQQ. All right, let's take a look at the game plan for that one. And let's move over to this chart. All right, I got pivot on QQQ. It's 584.35, above it bullish, below it bearish. Red erases green. All right, below 580.90. Green erases red, above 587.45. Probably not going to need that one today. Okay, on both QQQ and SPY. I like Friday options on the multiple of 5, specifically for the open interest. I like a tight bid-ask spread. All right, I don't want a lot of slippage on my stop outs. All right, I like strikes that are at the money at this time. Really, I like strikes that are out of the money, but because volatility is so high and the options that we trade, there's so much premium priced into it because we get these $12 days or $12 moves. Today's like a $20 move. All right, big moves. Sometimes we only get $3 days, and you're paying for an option that's priced at $20 and $12 movement. So for that, I choose the strikes that are at the money. It's a lot easier for me at this time with the strikes at the money than it is to go out of the money at this time. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Okay, because if I'm out of the money, there's at closing time there's going to be very little intrinsic value unless, of course, price rallies or falls into an in-the-money put or an in-the-money call. So for that reason, I'm choosing at the money. I'm going to get much better performance from the at-the-money option than I will from an out-of-the-money option, okay? Remember that out-of-the-money option is always chasing intrinsic value, all right, which means you're waiting for price to reach its strike point, okay? So for that reason, I'd rather choose strikes that are currently at the money, all right? So we'll get much better performance with that. We just won't be able to get as many. So there's QQQ on the game plan for that. All right, let's take a look at silver and gold on the daily charts. I don't believe we've looked at those yet. So let's pull up those daily charts for silver and gold. All right, silver got a lot higher high, higher low, closing over bullish trap, closing over the falling 17, closing over the midpoint. I'm going to pan out here. Okay, the origin of the silver move started back in 2022, right here. That produced the all-time high. Okay, you can see silver still underneath that all-time high anchored VWAP. You can see we're not in the upper third, we're not in the lower third, so we're just neutral through here. And we're still in a downtrend because we got a low, lower high, and we got lows, we got lower lows. So until we start making higher highs, all right, we're still in this downtrend. So neutral and in a downtrend still on silver. Past 3 days, not moving down. So kind of a dysfunctional downtrend in that price has not been moving down. All right, that's for silver. Let's take a look at gold. All right, higher low, higher high, closing over bullish cross, closing over the falling 17. I'll pan way out for this one. You can see the origin of this move starts back here in 2022, just like silver. And then we got this all-time high right there. Okay, now you got price action is, like I said, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish cross and over the falling 17. You can see we're up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. But we have not made any higher highs since making lower lows. So we're still in that downtrend. Again, for the past 4 days on gold, they're in a downtrend that is kind of dysfunctional because we're moving up and not down. Okay, so there's gold. All right, let's take a look at USO. USO, lower high, lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the rising 17. Still in quadrant 4 here. So that's bullish. Haven't made any lower lows, so we're still in an uptrend. Okay, you can see price up here making new 10-year highs in the pre-market right now. Okay, my target for USO, don't quote me on it, is 187 up here. Okay, that's USO. Let's take a look at UNG. UNG is lower high, lower low, closing underneath the bearish trap, underneath the falling 17. Clearly, quadrant 1, so that's going to be bearish. All right, and we haven't made any higher highs, so we're still in a downtrend. You can see us still underneath this falling all-time high anchored VWAP. We're well underneath the midpoint, definitely in the lower third, bearish, and in a downtrend. That is the all-time low right there. This anchored VWAP, not a very high bar that's been set. Okay, even though it says 25 and price is at 11. If you go back in history here on the monthly chart, you can see clearly UNG or this product has been nothing but falling apart since that high that was made in 2008 right there. Okay, so for the past about 16, 20 years, price has done nothing but start falling apart here on the daily chart. All right, so lower high, lower low, closing under the bearish trap. Bearish and in a downtrend. You can see this is just a 12-month high, anchored VWAP, not an all-time high. You can see every time they get near it, they get rejected. All right, and even when they get over it, they have a difficult time holding the higher ground above it. So you can see right there, much, maybe not the year for UNG, maybe next year. All right, we'll see. All right, so there's UNG, and I'm not saying they can't put on another new all-time low. All right, so you've got a lower high here. Chances are they're going to go try to dig out a lower low. All right, will it be a lower low from this low, or will it be a lower low from this low? We'll find out. That's UNG on the daily chart. Okay, let's take a look at technicals, T2101. Market moved up, less participation. We're getting less and less participation. So the markets are getting thinner and thinner, which causes a lot of big move volatility. All right, so you can see participation decreased yesterday as the bulls rallied yet again yesterday. Not a good sign. I would rather see bullish participation. I would rather see participation increase on the bullish days and decrease on the bearish days. But it is what it is. All right, so we got less participation on the bullish day yesterday. This is the absolute breadth. Let's take a look at T2122. For the majority of March, we have spent our time inside or under the 50-yard line, so that would be bearish. month, for the month of March. You can see this is a continuous line. We spent most of our time, very little, up over the 50-yard line. That would be this orange line in the middle. Yesterday we did pretty good. You can see here's a 15-minute chart of the continuous line. We spent most of the day above the yellow line inside the buyer's chop zone. Okay, so making little micro higher highs and higher lows up here. It looks like we lost it in the afternoon. That's T2122. That was a bullish day yesterday. Where we wind up today, looks like we'll probably be back down here in the seller's chop zone. We'll see. All right, T2123. And you can see we've got some highs here. And we didn't make any higher highs, so we're still in a downtrend on T2123. So it's kind of producing a bear flag at this time. You can see prices underneath the falling 200. That would be the place to be if you're a bear. You can see from the all-time highs. All right. If we put the quad lines in there from the all-time highs, we're down here in quadrant 1. All right. So that's bearish. And we're making lower lows and lower highs and still in a downtrend. That's T2123. Now the 3-bar chart, same product. Back way out. Remember, this is the origin of our rally back here in April. Price goes up, that was an all-time high, makes a new all-time high, pulls back, makes a higher low, and then rallies up and makes another new all-time high. Okay, so now currently price on the 3-bar chart, it's up here in quadrant 4, so we're still bullish, but you can see price is making, there's a low, a series of lower lows, but it's in a downtrend. And it's been in a downtrend, well, here's March. We just got through talking about it. Since March, it's been nothing but in a downtrend. That's T2123 3-bar chart. Again, you're under the rising 200 SMA. That's where you'd want to be if you were a bear. If you're a bull, that's not where you want to be right there on T2123. Okay, so we'll see what happens with this. See if they can finally get this thing turned around. We'll find out. We'll find out sometime in April, I believe, if they're going to turn it around or if they're going to continue melting down to the midpoint. We'll see. This is T2123 3-bar chart. Let's take a look at Stinker on the 15. Okay, just like SPY, nice bullish gap up right here. See, nice bullish gap up, not filled by the bears. All right, we made highs, never made any lower lows, so we're still in an uptrend right here. If we slap the quad lines on here, let's see where we wind up. Okay, you're still down here in quadrant 1, so that's bearish. Okay, so bearish and currently making higher highs in an uptrend on the 15-minute chart. We managed to climb on top of the 200, falling 200 SMA. We'll find out if they can hold the higher ground up here. Doesn't look like it based on pre-market price action. It would be bullish if they could have held the higher ground over the falling 200 SMA. That would be really super bullish. Doesn't look like that's going to happen though. Okay, you're still underneath this all-time high anchored VWAP right there, that pink line. Okay, let's take a look at US dollar index. This is our 2025 high, daily downtrend into a bear flag. We're still in this bear flag, but we're not in a daily downtrend. Currently, there is a rally going on in the dollar, and we have, there's a low, there's a higher low, okay? There's a high, there's higher highs. So we're in a daily uptrend within this big bear flag right through here. Try to break out of this bear flag on the top side. We'll see what happens. Look like we got a failed breakdown down here. And whenever that happens, probably a good chance they're going to return back to the highs, the recent highs, and test those highs out. So you can see right now we're still trying to break into this area up here, which once was this was minor resistance now that we're underneath it, but this was up above major support at one time. All right, so there's the US dollar index. Really don't want a strong dollar. Tends to give us higher prices when conversion rates are needed from foreign countries, so it makes our goods and services less attractive when our dollar is more expensive. All right, that's it. Let's take a look at the economic package, and I have that right over here. All right, Max Payne, let's see if they changed it on me. Looks like it's still 653. And 1.6 puts for each call that expires today in the SPY. Earnings calendar, nothing but familiar names, nothing that's going to move the markets. Economic calendar. For those of you trading futures, a lot of volatility coming tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. Regular markets, we're going to be closed tomorrow. We have the day off. Okay, so Friday, in observance of Good Friday, the markets are closed. For today, we got the Challenger Job Cut Report at 7:30. We've got International Trading Goods and Services 8:30. Jobless claims at 8:30. Thank you to anybody that shares that. We got natural gas report on inventories and production at 10 o'clock. That's it. All right, nothing else past that. So we'll see what happens. I want to wish everybody out there listening and in the room, happy holidays, happy Easter. We'll see you on Monday when we get back. That's open house for me. All right, so if you're traveling somewhere, I wish you all safe travels. All right, take lots of pictures when you're with your family. I'm just going to say, don't take those times for granted. All right, so get lots of pictures, make some good memories. All right, I will be back in 45 minutes, and we will open up the markets here live and trade them live and record them, okay? Each day is recorded. If you're looking for those recordings, they're right here in the room. And you press the hamburger up here, hit the archives, and you will see the recordings right here. Okay, each day is recorded. All right, I will see you all in 45 minutes. Thank you, everybody.